please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. Counting down to pre-open, the SGX Nifty is down 60 points, which actually would be a good outcome for the bulls considering the kind of global setup that we have. Hang Seng, for example, is now down 500 points. And just look at that index now, big decline happening. It's wiped out 2 days of gains. Shanghai also down about 1%. So this emerging market weakness, of course, continues. SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com is with us. Mr. Tulsian, good morning. The stock that I want to discuss with you first is Bajaj Auto, which has had decent gains all through this month. You reckon it's still a good buy at these levels?
That's right, Anuj. And in fact, we have been giving the buy call on the stock after seeing the monthly sales performance. And if you really see the situation going forward on the valuation front also, probably, both. In fact, we have been giving a buy call on both Hero Moto and Bajaj Auto, because in Hero Moto is available at maybe at a P multiple of 14-15, and Bajaj Auto, if you net off the cash, then it is also available at a P multiple of maybe 14-15 only. And the kind of growth which we have been seeing coming back to Bajaj Auto, and more especially on the export fronts, is seen really quite remarkable, with a sales figure of 4 lakh plus having seen. So I think purely on the valuation parameter, and going ahead with the good Kharif crop seen, season harvesting once starts in the next month, we will be seeing the pickup in the two-wheeler sales also, and Bajaj Auto and Hero Moto both will be beneficiary. But yes, it is in fact, from a growth point of view, sales growth, which what we have seen is Bajaj Auto is preferred, but on valuation parameter, I think both the stocks are looking good, Hero Moto as well as Bajaj.
Okay, Mr. Tulsian, good morning. I also wanted your thoughts on how to approach Voltas now. I think after 2 decades of moving out of the consumer durable space, they will now re-enter that space under a new brand name, Voltbek. What kind of opportunity do you see for long-term investors with this story?
See, Sonia, definitely it has both the sides, because if you see the kind of prospects in the consumer durable space, it is really immense. But the competition is also seen hotting up. But the biggest advantage to Voltas will be the distribution network which they are enjoying, because they have a very good market share in the air condition, and the same outlets and the same distribution network will be used by them. And in fact, if you really take a call on the valuation parameters also, I think that valuation also seen quite reasonable for Voltas. The only problem that this next quarter, that is the quarter ended December, is always seen weak for the air conditioning company, and the pickup only starts from the March and June quarter, because March and June quarter are seen to be the best. So that may be just a stigma that people generally that they don't give any kind of what you call investment buying interest seen in these air conditioner companies. And initially 3, 4, 6 months will definitely be seen painful. You cannot catch up with your new product launches from day one. So that may be an issue, that stock will remain range bound for the next 3, 4 months. Because now ruling closer to about 590, 600 also seem to be at its optimum valuation. But on a valuation parameter and from 1 year prospects, I think the stock holds a good investment potential at the current level.
Okay, that's good to hear, sir, that stocks hold a good investment potential. I just want you all to pull up the various currencies. I mean, if you pull up the Korean won, the rupiah, and even baht and peso, if we can, many of them are showing pressure. Korean won in particular showing pressure, as is the rupiah. So this is not really an India problem at this point in time. It is also not helping that emerging market currencies continue to be under pressure. The Nifty is opening with a green tick at this point in time. So let's take that with both hands. But I really want to know what we have in terms of the rupee opening, because
1%,
right,
almost. Yes. Yeah, I mean, at the futures opening is
72.50 is what we have. So that's almost 1%, 0.9. So it's a little worse than what the NDF market indicated. NDF market indicated spot would be 72.40. So this is now coming at 72.52. I would expect that the Reserve Bank will be in, because you want to do a concerted action with both the government announcing steps and the Reserve Bank helping. But on the other hand, the Reserve Bank normally doesn't come in when it is an all-EM fall. I mean, people would be selling out anyways, so you wouldn't want to come in. So let's see how things pan out. Devesh Divya of Standard Chartered Bank has joined us from Singapore. Good morning, Devesh. Thank you very much for joining us. bunch of steps, but the rupee is 72.53. So a good 1% lower than where we left off on Friday.
Well, I think a couple of things happened. First, market expectations of the measures had probably were too bullish. People were expecting a lot, which was probably not warranted at this point. And that is why there was a little bit of disappointment with the measures that were actually announced. In addition, there was also news that Trump is still going to go ahead with the $200 billion of tariffs on imports from China, despite the talks, news of talks earlier in the week. So I think combination of those factors, clearly rupee is likely to be under pressure as a result of that.
Okay. Devesh, hi, good morning. The view is that the government has kept their powder dry, and these measures that we saw over the weekend is just the first salvo. If that is the case, what more would you expect, say, over the next week or 2 weeks? And, you know, what do you think would lead to any kind of recovery in the rupee, if at all?
Well, I think the big measures would likely be 2 or 3 big measures that market is potentially looking at. One is the return of the NRI deposit, as was the case in 2013. The other is a swap window for oil demand. Again, that was last introduced back during the taper tantrums of 2013. And then some sort of more import duties on, say, electronics or gold. So I think those are the sort of big measures that markets are waiting for. I don't think we are really in that situation where we need to implement some of these big bang measures yet. As Lata was mentioning earlier, it's not just been a rupee weakness problem. It's been across the board, across emerging markets. And it's unlike 2013, it's not very few specific currencies which are under pressure. It's been broad-based dollar strength. We have seen that dollar strength against euro. We have seen that dollar strength against CNY. And it's very natural for emerging markets to feel the pressure. So I don't think we are yet in that situation where we need to unveil some of these big measures. But once that happens, I think that will be a turnaround point for rupee.
Actually, that was the point. How much longer do you expect this pressure on EMs? Overnight, actually, dollar receded a bit from the 95 mark. Can this mayhem continue for long, this questioning of the EM thesis?
Well, I think it really goes back to whether the dollar can continue to march ahead, right? When we talk about the dollar's trajectory, we often look at 3 things for a potential turning point: valuation, positioning, and catalyst. I think the first 2 are in place. Dollar is quite overvalued. Market positioning is long dollars. But what we are really missing here is a catalyst. There's really no catalyst to turn the EM story or the dollar story around at this point. There are a few potential catalysts which can play out over the next few months. For example, if US and China do come to a trade deal, I think that could be a major catalyst. If Democrats win in the midterm elections quite well, if they perform well, I think that could mean a potential unwind of some of the Trump's policies. That can be a potential catalyst. But these are, again, not imminent. Markets are definitely hoping that some of these catalysts could happen over the next few months. But it's far from clear that we are at a turning point yet.
So then what would your own expectations be on the rupee over the next, say, 2 to 3 months? I mean, do you expect it to get back to that record lows, or could it even breach that?
I think near term, there's definitely going to be more pressure on the rupee. I do think that we'll probably see more new record lows over the next couple of weeks. But by the end of the year, I do expect a slight recovery in the rupee. So my end year target for dollar INR still stands at 70. And that's on expectations that after state elections, there could be renewed inflows coming in. But I think near term, there's probably going to be more INR weakness.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thanks a lot for joining us today. Well, the dollar rupee is looking quite weak, in fact, and that's having an impact on the market as well. The SGX Nifty, of course, is down. The Nifty is still not catching up as far as the pre-open is concerned. But we'll watch out. Yes Bank is down about 1.7%. Kotak is down about 1%. That's been the other problem for this market. Some of these stronger stocks, HDFC Twins, for example, have been seeing quite a bit of decline. So let's see how things move from here. Mr. Tulsian, so IT and pharma, you think it's still a safe play in this kind of market?
Anuj, may not be IT, but for pharma, yes, it looks like, because if you really see the pull-up in IT stocks, we have already seen that happening quite a lot, and I think that they have all reached to the to its optimum valuation, where you are carrying a risk of profit booking seen coming in the way we have seen in FMCG and the private sector banks, maybe for last 1 month or so. So I won't be comfortable, and even in pharma, the view the stand which we have been taking, that be selective in buying maybe the larger ones like or Aurobindo Pharma or maybe Sun Pharma, Biocon kind of stocks, where you have seen to be more upside potential rather than profit booking seen swiftly coming back. So these are our viewpoints. Selective buy call on pharma and cautious view on IT, even on the valuation parameter going forward.
Okay, and finally, Mr. Tulsian, I wanted to ask you about sugar. Once again, Balrampur Chini is up. Is there enough in the news, in this ethanol news, for the sugar stocks to be bought at all?
See, Lata, two things comes out of this. One is that about 10 million ton of sugar production needs to be get diverted, because this season we will be having the production of about 35 million ton and the consumption is 25 million ton. So what we do, 10 million ton of sugar should get diverted for ethanol, and if that happens, that will give us the production of about 100 crore liter of the ethanol, which will take the blending to 10%, which perfectly matches with. And if that happens, that will give the support price of 32 rupees to the sugar mill, which will not lead to any losses, which we have seen in the past, in the previous season, where they have been forced to sell the sugar in the X mill at 26 rupees also. So I think this is the only saving grace for the sugar mills, and I hope that this time things will get implemented. The only caveat here which I wish to draw, that probably market is going by the news that 25% increase has happened in the ethanol prices, which is wrong. In case of C molasses, the prices have reduced by about 25 paise. In case of molasses B, the prices have increased by about 11%. And molasses A, there is only theoretical, where we see the ethanol prices of 59 rupees per liter having fixed, because in India the technology is not available. So yes, if 10 million ton of sugar can divert it for production of ethanol, the health of the sugar mills will not deteriorate. So I won't be initiating a buy call from here on. The only advice that those who have been holding the sugar stocks can remain invested, but fresh buying is definitely not advised in any of the UP-based sugar mills.
Okay, Mr. Tulsian, we'll soon arrange perhaps a classroom session on sugar and molasses. A lot to understand, a lot to learn. Thanks a lot for joining us. We'll talk to you, of course, in closing bell. Udin Mukherjee is also with us. The market has settled 50 point lower on the Nifty and 160 lower on the Nifty Bank. Udin, good morning. So, we've been talking about, of course, the rupee move and, the intervention and all that stuff. But emerging markets are seeing a bit of a problem. The MSCI Emerging Market and Asia ex-Japan Index down quite a bit this month. Your thoughts on, how things are shaping up?
Morning, Anuj. It's not a bit of a problem, but I think you used an euphemism. I think it's more than a bit of a problem for emerging markets right now. And this steady exodus of foreign money or global money, dollar money from emerging markets, including India, will probably continue through till the end of the year. So we have a tricky fourth quarter coming up now, October, November, December. The liquidity situation for emerging markets is not great, compounded by the macro problems in many of those economies, including ours. So the best case that you can think of right now is that you won't fall too much and the domestic money does not dry up too much. I think that is the most important thing technically for the market right now, because the August figure was not great for domestic mutual funds. I mean, it's a given that we have moved away from the 12,000–15,000 crores a monthly run rate that we were seeing earlier in the months of December, January, February. But if we go down to the 5,000 crore kind of a net inflow situation for equities, I doubt whether that will support the market against the steady exodus of foreign flows. So we have a bit of a technical imbalance brewing out here, and the macro news is not great. So as I said, the best case is that the market forms a bit of a trading range. I don't know what that range could be. Maybe it is 10,800 to 11,800, 1,000-point Nifty range, and try and work with that in the fourth quarter of this year.
Good morning, Udin. It's not looking good. When was the last that the RBI announced an OMO and the bonds have fallen further by about 25 pies? It's, 8.17 the opening versus 8.13. Crude is also lower, so nothing is working except the rupee at this point in time. And the fact that it is 1% lower today, at the moment 72.65. So clearly the steps have been seen as way too inadequate. And I guess you cannot stand in front of an emerging market sell-off. Udin, I want to look at the longer term earnings. The positive is that whenever rupee depreciates, there is a positive for the local stocks and their earnings. But the negative is an 8.2 yield, and all that happened practically in 4-5 weeks. So do you see an earnings impact, or they cancel one another?
No, Lata, and I think the market's actually been very wise in positioning itself for exactly the twin pressures or the dichotomy that you just described. Because IT has been a rank outperformer, pharma's done quite well, and the market's swift to actually figure out what will get hurt by the rising yields. It's not just the yield. Wholesale funding, of course, will become a big challenge, but actually interest rates will also start rising, because the kind of tepid deposit growth we are seeing in the banking system now, I think it's only inevitable that rates will also harden. Now that is a pressure for earnings. So I've been saying consistently over the last few months that we will not get this 25% earnings growth that analysts are shouting from the rooftops about. It always appeared to me that we'd get closer to 15%, and that was not even factoring in an upward pressure on interest rates. And now that yields have started to move up and interest rates will follow, I think it's going to be difficult to get more than 15% earnings growth. So we are getting some earnings growth. It's not like there is no recovery in earnings, but we'll probably get to that 14-15% kind of growth, and not that 25% which was required to support a market at 19 and 20p multiple. And I think because of the yield hardening and the tempering of the earnings expectation, what you'll probably go on to see in the fourth quarter is a P multiple compression. How severe that compression turns out to be will depend on how the emerging market story plays out globally.
Oh yes, 2.5 minutes left for markets to open. Let me just take Ashwini's thoughts on how the opening should be traded, and what's the 9-10 call, Ashwini?
See, like I said, it's more likely to be consolidation. So I don't think on the index you have too much. If you want to buy, probably buy near 11,440 or possibly 27,000 on the Bank Nifty. I think Balrampur Chini could have another good day, so that's a buy with a stop of 88, target of 96.
What's the stop for that trade, buying at 27,000?
Basically 50 points, 26950, and take it from there.
Okay. Udayan, hi, good morning. You spoke about how domestic money is the key to track right now. What should the retail market positioning be? Because, you know, this morning Goldman Sachs has cut their India target to market weight from overweight after many years. Do you think the time now has come to raise cash levels?
You know, I don't think we have arrived at a point of panic where people should stop their SIPs, because the nature of the beast is such, Sonia, that things average out over a period of time. So SIP is a habit. Once you get out, you're basically back into the timing game, which most retail investors cannot do. So I think for an SIP habit, we'll have to see more evidence of greater damage to conclude that SIP should be stopped. But what is happening right now is that what we like to call the smart or the professional money, that has started to walk out over the last 1 month or so, which is why the lumpy inflows into equity mutual funds are no longer there. Now, whether we'll see large-scale redemptions from these professional investors, that we'll have to wait and see, because the net number in August was lower, but it was still 5,000 crores plus. So SIPs are continuing. I think some money from professional investors got taken out, but we have to watch out for redemptions, the point that you're asking, from the serious smart money in the domestic space. And if that happens, this market will be difficult to support at these 11,300 kind of levels. That number is an absolutely key number now.
Oh, okay. Well, we just about a few seconds, so we'll wait by for the rates and then get back to our experts. It looks like it's going to be a